Okay, so when you do your Van Gogh texture study, as recommended, it's not required, but as recommended, you will have practiced some of your oil pastel techniques from the first video. The ones that I think you'll be using the most are going to be layering colors, short strokes, which is this one, and pointillism will come in handy here as well. Because remember, we're trying to capture all these beautiful little marks that Van Gogh makes. He makes them with his paintbrush. You're going to make them with oil pastels. So I've started here. Of course, I'm zooming in on the sky and the tops of the trees. So for my example, I'm working from about right here down to just about right here. And I'm looking at it on the computer screen, so that helps me zoom in. It's a nice idea to have a piece of copy paper so you can clean off, you know, kind of especially the yellow, which is a nice light color, clean off the pastels like you saw in the first video as well. So I started by laying down the lightest color. You're always going to start light first. And for this Van Gogh, because we're focused on texture, there's really no areas where you're going to sit there and color back and forth. It's all going to be short strokes or dots because we're trying to build up the color without losing the texture. So I hit the whole thing with light yellow, and I kind of used the light yellow to kind of map out the main parts. So the top of the trees here and where the sun would be. And then I hit the whole thing with yellow, going back in with a little bit of a light orange and then a brown or a light tan. You'll want to keep careful watch on the direction that Van Gogh is going with his strokes. It doesn't always, for example, the radiate around the sun, actually when he gets above the trees, the strokes start to follow the line of the trees. So now my sky is not complete, but I'm going to leave it for now, and I'm going to start working on the trees. So I could go into it with just a light green first, but I'm actually going to start with a little bit of the branches so I can get those marks in behind some of those leaves. I'm not going to do a lot, just a little bit, just to kind of identify, you know, where they are. Now this is the drawing technique that we saw in, oops, I broke it, in the technique video. And, you know, there's just a little bit of brown that kind of shows up. Now we can build that brown back in, that's not a big deal. Now that I've got that brown in there, I'm going to come in with my lightest green, which just happens to be kind of a limey green.
White.
And I'm going to start coming in here with the short stroke, excuse me, technique everywhere that I see that. Now, his trees are kind of round, so these are going to be the highlights. Excuse me. I'm going to go around and do these kind of rounder parts to get that round shape of his trees. Oops, that's where my mountain is. I'm going to have to clean that up. And now I'm going to keep building on this with different greens. Now, one of the things I'm going to try to match in Van Gogh's work is a little bit of the value scale, so where the lights and the darks are. This is going to take me a little while, but I'm just working back and forth in little balls or bunches when you look at his trees. All right, I'm using the short stroke. Sorry. All right, and now even with a darker, almost like a blue-green. Now right now I'm working on filling in the white, but I'm also working towards getting these greens to layer a little bit so you can start to see what's starting to happen, okay? After I get through my trees, I'm going to come back through again with the yellow and hit the yellow again and kind of make sure all of my white is filled except for some areas where he might have the lightest lights, like right above those mountains. I might leave some of the white paper in there. I'm going to go back in with my mountains. My mountains, when you look at those, you can see I'm going to do my mountains with blues, light blue and gray, and continue to working back and forth between different colors and building the colors but never losing that stroke or that pointillism so we can capture the same texture that Van Gogh has in his work. Have fun with it.